back in Bristol and to be speaking to members and fellows and colleagues at the Institute, a wonderful centre for thinking about so much of the culture that actually we still are formed by. So it's really important to me all my life, this sediment of the classics and these living shoots that still rise. The ruins of Carthage now stand in Tunisia, near the border with Libya. But in Virgil's poem and other accounts in which Dido figures as the founder of the city, Libya and the deserts around, stretching east and west along the North African shore, are the geographical location, while in the imaginary realm, shaped by Virgil above all, through the extraordinary power of the tragic story created about Dido and Aeneas, Carthage stands as the life of ease, love, and delight that Aeneas foregoes in order to fulfill his God-given destiny and found Rome. Actually, the poster was a lovely painting which was found by one of you, so I'll put that up, though it's not relevant to what I'm saying at the moment. When he relinquishes Dido for the higher purpose of empire building, the choice of Rome over Carthage signals his transformation from a Trojan into a Roman. Carthage is the testing ground for a crucial myth about the excellences of civilization. By passing through it and rejecting, discarding Dido, an African queen, the Oriental fugitive is changed into an Occidental hero, forefather of Western civilization. This implicit fault line between barbarity and civilization in Virgil's cultural map, and the location of this line in North Africa, reproduces historical antagonisms that have continued since the Punic Wars, wars which were uppermost in Virgil's memory, right up to the colonial wars that are most luridly refracted in the 19th century in Les Troyens, the Trojans, the opera that Hector Verdi was composed in the 19th century to his own libretto after Virgil. The character ascribed to the indigenous peoples of North Africa by Virgil's drama and his language, and then picked up by his admirers, has continued to resonate in the very tissue of thinking about the region. Two themes in particular arise in relation to contemporary experiences of hostility and migration. The first arises from the multiple wanderings recounted in the Aeneid. Virgil's Aeneas leaves his native land, Troy. He is being compared to Odysseus and Ulysses, probably conscious, most likely conscious, of course, Virgil's mind, but with a major difference. He has no Ithaca to return to. He wanders across the Mediterranean until he is blown ashore in Libya, where his story becomes intertwined with Dido's. Dido, the Queen of Carthage, has another name, which Virgil also uses on occasion in earlier and alternative sources, Elissa. The historian Timaeus glosses the name Dido as meaning wanderer, and Elissa also means wanderer according to some interpretations. It's quite mysterious that Dido has several different names, though her story remains fairly consistent. Elissa, as she's known in other sources in the North African and Arab worlds, has herself migrated under duress from Tyre in Phoenicia, and the city she founds in Africa is peopled by the migrants she brought with her. It is in effect a Punic or Phoenician home from home, not a colony, since its connections to her native land have been violently severed. It might have been a colony in history, but in the epic, it's a severance. It meets the conditions of a new home, planted on new territory. The verb errare, to wander or to err, in many variations, strikes notes again and again in the poem in relation to the condition of Aeneas and of Dido, both of them political fugitives and figuratively at fault in error for what they eventually do. The love story revolves around rites of settlement and migration. Aeneas arrives as a refugee from war and leaves as a conqueror raises crucial questions about myth and its interactions with propaganda. And after exploring these two themes, dominant themes, I'll turn briefly to some enriching contemporary responses that reorient the myths. When Aeneas and his companions, fleeing Troy, are blown by a storm onto the coast of North Africa near the new city of Carthage, one compelled displacement intersects with another. We learn Dido's story early on in Virgil's Aeneid, when Venus in disguise appears before her tempest-tossed son Aeneas, and intent on preventing him suffering more at the hands of the vengeful Juno. And Juno has a great enmity to the Trojans, speaks to him warmly of the queen, Phoenician Dido, and her sorrows and ordeals. Venus is acting here in character, seducing Aeneas with a stirring tale of obstacles overcome, and incidentally, of huge wealth managed by a woman. There may be even a light reproach taunt against Aeneas for his despair. Venus describes how Dido collected together the gold of Tyre and loaded it on board before her flight, and then she crowns her account with the ringing phrase to her son, Venus talking to her son, Dux femina facti, translated in Lord Fitzgerald as, a woman leads them all. Quite a challenge held out to Aeneas. Not much captured in the representations or dramas inspired by Dido significantly. Femininity follows love and undoes her authority and dominates representations, especially pictures. During this encounter with her son, Venus is dressed as a huntress, and indeed Aeneas realizes that she's no ordinary mortal, but first takes her, understandably, for Diana, or for one of Diana's nymphs of the hunt. But in her flippant way, that was Robert Fagles, not Fitzgerald. In her flippant way, caught well in Robert Fagles' translation, and very Homeric in tone, Venus explains, it's just the style for Tyrian girls to sport a quiver and high-laced hunting boots in crimson. In this way, Aeneas' first encounter with a woman in the place where he finds himself off course and lost, sets up a sense of their independence, women's independence, and mobility, and unsubordinated authority, with an implication of gender inversion, because Venus is here seeming to be Artemis Diana. Venus continues, what you see is a puny kingdom, people of Tyre and Agenor's town, with the borders held by Libyans, hard to break in war. Phoenician Dido is in command. She sailed from Tyre in flight from her own brother. Oh, it's a long tale of crime, long, twisting, dark. She then regales her son with a dramatic, fast-moving account. Now, I know there are lots of people in this room to whom this is second nature, and I'm going to probably garble it, so forgive me for doing Sichaeus, Dido's husband, was the richest man in Tyre and a priest of Hercules. He was also her uncle. Her brother, Pygmalion, the ruler of Tyre, coveted Sichaeus' wealth, and one day murdered him sacrilegiously while he was sacrificing at the altar, and then concealed his crime, leaving Sichaeus unburied, until Dido one night saw her husband appear to her in a dream, all bloody. He ordered her to take flight and gather up Tyrian gold, but he kept his treasure hidden. She did as her husband in the dream instructed, and calling together many of her fellow Tyrians, set out across the Mediterranean. When they reached the coast of Libya, she bought land to found a new city. This is just to give you an example of the story of traveling. This is a ballad, as you see, from an English ballad, and the wandering prince of Troy is emphasized by the actual song. The idea that they are wanderers was caught in this popular form. So she buys this land to found the new city. Virgil only gives one line to this purchase, and indeed Venus' story leaves out many episodes of Dido's adventures told in other sources, which reveal the strength of mind and the cunning of the young, wandering widow. The stratagem Virgil alludes to in passing shows Dido to be a trickster in mythology as well as an independent female ruler. She asks the local king for as much land as can be enclosed by an oxhound, and once he has agreed, she has the oxhound cut into as narrow a strip as possible, and then laid out to mark the perimeter of a much larger expanse of territory. Technically, the problem is called isoperimetric inequality. And in mathematics it's known as Dido's theorem, how to determine the largest possible area of a plane with a boundary of a specific length. So you can see here how you can even extend it if you just put the elastic band in a slightly different position to get more land. Soon after this introduction to Dido, Venus reveals herself in her full radiance to her son and wraps him and his companion, Chates, in mist so that they can approach Dido's new city, undetected and unobserved. A magnificent spectacle unfolds before them. The new city rising, the Tyrians building an ideal, a splendid citadel abutting the sea, with a harbour, bridges, theatre, and a huge temple. Virgil unspools one of his extended, beautiful pastoral similes, comparing their work voluptuously to bees in summer, and the rising city becomes a kind of honeycomb. The memory of Dido, the builder of Carthage, was honoured by posterity. In Phoenicia, for example, and the emperor Heliogabalus and his wife, I think it was, yes, his wife, issued coins in which that you could see that historically Carthage was actually still seen as a Phoenician colony. And the myth inspired a very celebrated painting by Turner, Dido building Carthage. It's a retained. On the whole, however, this episode in the Aeneid has been overshadowed by the death of Dido, and her destruction through love and through shame has fascinated posterity to the exclusion of much else. The legendary accretions and refashionings can be seen as realigning unseemly facets of her persona and her story to fit a less subversive and unruly prescription for female conduct and social position. There are thousands of representations of Dido written suicide, but I'll just show you sort of three from different periods. That's not, sorry, the resolution is so low, but the bloodiness is important. And then this is more decorous, if you like. She's going to her funeral pyre. And then we get into, very late Baroque, very highly wrought scenes that follow. I'll come back to the actual scene in a moment, just to show you the kind of feeling of narrative energy concentrates on this episode. Very beautiful painting by Bertina, which is in Rome. As soon as Aeneas enters, he finds himself confronted by a great temple where he sees carved. I'll get back. Now I'll just show you the map so you see what the notion is. As soon as Aeneas enters, he finds himself confronted by a great temple where he sees carved scenes from the fall of Troy, and eventually, after revisiting in Metamorphosis the harrowing deaths he witnessed during that war, fled 7 years before, he comes face to face with himself, depicted in the melee of the battle. At this point, Dido, with her court assembled around her, arrives at the temple and takes her throne. Virgil compares her to Diana, and he tells us that Latona, who is Diana's mother, thrilled with joy too deep for words at the sight of Dido striding through her people and her possessions. Aeneas and Chates are both still invisible, privily watching Dido in full command, dispensing justice, making laws, and then meeting their shipwrecked companions, Trojans, pleading for mercy and shelter. Virgil's pacing and dramatic prelude to the meeting of Dido and Aeneas moves the plot along axes of fight and settlement. Home is the place left behind for both Aeneas and Dido, but they are both makers of new homes, and the struggle between them will turn on where they settle and who will be permitted to be in charge. Dido is above all, as I said, presented as a widow of property in her own right, a builder and force of civilization and order, what used to be called in medieval law a femme sœur, a lone female in full position in more ways than one. Virgil may have come across the interweaving of Aeneas' story with Dido's in a lost source, Aeneas Nevis's epic about the First Punic War, and fragments have survived in Greek anthology, a passage about the storm that drives Aeneas onto the shore of Carthage. But the immense and unforgettable conflagration of their love was the fruit of Virgil's imagination and literary skill. later heightened for us in works such as Purcell's opera, with his glorious lament, which all of you will know it and love it, and Berlioz's vast tragedy of the Tournée. Virgil picked out of the Aeneid a not very illustrious warrior, who nevertheless has aura because he is Aphrodite's son, and one of the few mortal men born of the goddess of love, Romain and Chryses. And by contrast, unions between mortal women and gods are comparatively common, and as Homer tells us, a god's embrace is never fruitless. So there are lots of children of mortal women and gods, but not very many children of mortal men and gods. Aphrodite protects her son with the help of Poseidon in Homer, saves him from Achilles on one of his rampages by dropping a magic mist over the Greek hero's eyes. And this is one of the places where Virgil has clearly borrowed the magic mist from Homer to shield Aeneas and Achates when they appear before Dido. Though again, sometimes there are non sequiturs in Virgil's borrowings, because there's no real need for Aeneas and Achates to be protected by a magic mist at this point. In other sources of the story of Lyssa, the Queen of Carthage, on which Virgil drew, her adventures after the death of her husband focus on local African suitors and don't involve the Trojan hero at all. In the Lost History of Timaeus, which is the earliest extant mention of her, she's also got the names Origo and Theioso, and the story describes how she arrives in Libya after fleeing her brother and founds Carthage. But Timaeus proposes Rome and Carthage were founded at the same time. Remind us of 813 BC, exactly the same year. In his account, a local Libyan ruler wants to marry Lyssa. Her fellow exiles persuade her she must consent, but she builds a huge pile, pretending that she needs to perform a ritual in order to be released from her marriage vows to her dead husband, and she then throws herself out the window of her palace onto the burning